Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 147 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the #1 live podcast in Canada. We're recording on Monday, August the 20th, 2018. As always, I'm Andrew. I'm your host. I'm a recovering libertarian, a competitive shooter, and a firearms instructor at Ragnarok Tactical.
I'm Gavin, a business owner, gun enthusiast, hunter, atheist, and CCFR field officer for the Greater Toronto Area.
I'm Liberal Tim. I'm a husband and father of 3. I'm a sports shooter and the owner and operator of Tim's Good T-shirts. They're quite good. I'm also the proud descendant of immigrants.
We'd love to hear your feedback about the show. Please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com or email us feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. You can find versions of the show on Stitcher and iTunes, at least until we get deplatformed, and then you'll find us at InfoWars.
Yeah, probably. But, speaking of other places you can find us in the social media world, you can check the podcast out on the Facebooks at facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast or Instagram at instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help to support the show. Visit www.patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon. You can get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. The more you pledge, the better the rewards are. Show you're not a communist by buying a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, go to the homepage, and follow the link on the right.
Did we lose Andrew?
I think we lost Andrew.
Well,
you going to do the arrowhead?
Yeah, I'll do the arrowhead. It's been a couple weeks, but I think I still got it. But yeah, onto our favorite portion of the show, What Are We Drinking? And as always, What Are We Drinking has been brought to us by Arrowhead Coffee. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you, no matter where you are. A portion of all profits help Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families.
So, what are we drinking? Gavin, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Maker's Mark and Coke Zero this evening.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
I am drinking one of my old favorites, Hobgoblin.
Excellent. I have not had one of those since a Christmas many years ago when someone bought me one of those LCBO Christmas gift packs they always have.
Yeah. It's really a good beer. It is. Like a fruity aftertaste. It could really be like... There's so many beers, like it has a lot of flavor to it, but they fade fast.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah, and it's not like disgusting hoppy. It doesn't like taste like the underside of a lawnmower or something like that. Like it's and it laces beautifully if your glass is clean. So that tells me it's a quality beer.
Yeah, no, definitely not a gross hopped up IPA that tastes like a skunk farted in your mouth.
Yep.
Hey, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yay. What are you drinking?
I don't know if any of that's going to work, but...
did we have no yellow button?
I don't know if you were still live or not, because my internet is broken, and I've been arguing with my ISP for months about how broken my internet is, because it just keeps doing this.
Because you have
they gave us a new test modem.
It's a right wing.
Actually, I think it's actually just because I have that crappy Rogers box in my backyard, and the service techs keep trespassing on my property to get to their right of way. You know what? At this point, pigeons would probably be more effective.
So, did you hear me do the Patreon?
I heard you do the Patreon. I started doing the Arrowhead at some point. It went out. So I'm going to do Arrowhead again. We'll see what we get. I'll combine it in post. And we'll hope for the best.
You did it better. Yeah.
Or I could be like the International Liberty or Death podcast and say I'm going to edit stuff like Matt and then just post the podcast.
There you go.
Because that's funny
too. That works.
I think he's done that the last 2 episodes they did.
Yeah.
Make more International Liberty or Death podcasts. Seriously, I need something to listen to when I go for a walk. So make more podcasts, guys.
I've got some good ones for you. Well, I'll tell you off air.
I want to hear Tyler and Matt, come on.
Well, yeah, but we'll
Anyway.
be drinking. We'll be drinking with those guys soon enough in person. We'll have to do a live cast from the wedding.
That seems like a terrible plan.
It does.
So we're doing it. Yeah. Sweet.
Also, congratulations to Matt and Tyler. We're going to their wedding. No, wait.
Yeah.
It's legal
close,
up.
though.
It's legal up here.
Anyway, What Are We Drinking is brought to us every week by Arrowhead Coffee. Arrowhead Coffee is owned and operated by Canadian Armed Forces veterans. They love our country, the true north, strong and free, their family and friends. Join Arrowhead Coffee on their hunt for the perfect brew to raise morale and bring that feeling of home to you no matter where you are. A portion of all profits helps Canadian Armed Forces members, veterans, and their families. That takes us to What Are We Drinking? It's my favorite segment of the show. It's where I ask, what are you drinking? Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Maker's Mark and Coke Zero this evening.
Not bad, not bad. Tim, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Hobgoblin.
Holy crap, a fine British ale?
Yes.
That is in fact not made with reverse osmosis tap water.
No, it isn't.
Or whiskey.
It's probably made with English water.
Well, that doesn't sound appealing at all.
Hopefully old English water.
Not the new English. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then. I'm drinking Crown Royal Maple because I have a bottle open from last week, but
Ooh.
I'm about to be out of that bottle.
We could call it Hobcucklin.
Well, while we all have our drinks in our hands, I think we should give a cheers to a couple of fans of ours that recently tied the knot on the weekend.
Yeah, Everton and Eileen. I don't know if they're fans, but they definitely have invited us to their wedding.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
and Ellerton.
We won't get invited to the next one.
Yeah. But cheers and congrats, guys.
Congratulations.
All right,
It was a good warm-up for the next wedding.
Yeah, I'm going to need to practice more before the next wedding. We got 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
You get that liver in shape.
Yeah.
I'm trying. All right, let's do some news. First one, CBC. Court issues order to suppress details about fatal Fredericton shooting. This is going back to the incident a week ago where 2 police officers and 2 members of the public were shot and killed by an armed gunman. The Crown Bench, I'm sorry, not the Crown Bench, the Queen's Bench in New Brunswick has ordered media to stop publishing, broadcasting, rebroadcasting, transmit, retransmit, or disseminate any of the information already in the public domain. So we're not going to hear anything else about the Fredericton shooting until the trial's over in however many years that takes, although credit where it's due. CBC says that they are planning to challenge the prohibition order. So good job, Bobby Jean McKinnon of the CBC. You might actually be a real journalist.
But see, this kind of pisses me off. Like, I mean, the gag order definitely does, but like, so the CBC is funded by government money. They're going to use that government money to sue the government. Like, does that not sound fucking retarded?
Yes, it is, but the different branches of government do need to keep one another in check, and if the media is going to be one of the branches of government, then at least report on what's going on.
Yes, I agree with that, but can we just defund the CBC and then have like a real news wing agency, whatever you want to call it, go after them? Because I don't want government money being thrown at it, because if they win, then the government is going to have to pay off the government.
Government is inefficient and should be dissolved.
Exactly.
There you go.
Thank you, Ron Swanson.
Not just the CBC.
Oh yeah,
although
all of
for
it.
places to start, I'm all for starting there.
Yeah.
So
I don't think anyone is surprised that they're censoring things.
No.
It's probably because the
sunny ways, my friends, sunny ways.
The events don't fit the current narrative, so that's probably why they're doing it.
Hey, do you remember when Harper was muzzling scientists? Oh, that guy.
Yeah, I think muzzling journalists is worse than muzzling scientists.
Yeah.
Someone get me the flowchart of victim hierarchy so I know where this fits.
Yeah, where did news people and science people fit on this scale?
I want William, the journalist man, and Bill Nye, the science guy, to like battle this out.
Yes. That would be epic in a dance battle.
Naturally. Let's do another one. I got another CBC article that more fake news. Winnipeggers slam Bernier for tweet about city park named for Pakistani leader. So there's a series. Well, that's the thing. This is the part that makes me think it's fake news. Is I don't see people in Winnipeg being like, "Oh, that Maxim Bernier, that guy's really out of line with calling out all the multiculturalism that's going on." So
I didn't realize that Winnipeg was pro-Pakistan.
Well, I guess so the backstory for everybody in podcast land that's not up on this. Winnipeg recently opened a new park. They're calling it Jinnah Park. They're naming it for the first prime minister of Pakistan. He's not the founder of Pakistan, but he's like its first elected official, first elected leader. Something to that effect.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't Pakistan Patriot podcast. Don't expect us to be, experts on Pakistan.
Well, no, and so this is my problem with this is like this is in Winnipeg, in Canada, not in Pakistan. So do we not have a prime minister of our own country that we could name this park after, or a member?
No.
Family?
We're disavowing any and all association with previous prime ministers,
except for the first prime minister of Pakistan that was likely responsible for the deaths of 1 million people during Pakistani independence from India. But I mean,
it's fine. It wasn't our country. It doesn't matter. It's not our people he killed.
Well, I mean, this is kind of how I feel about this. Is like this isn't our country. I don't care, but they're putting it in my country, and that makes me kind of care because I don't care what they name a park, but the Bernier tweets are really good. In that, why is the government doing this? Like, this is a level of multiculturalism that shouldn't even be possible.
Yeah, I mean, I get like in Mississauga, we have a sister city in Japan called Korea, and we have Korea Park, and we have this Japanese park that like has cherry blossoms and stuff, and it's kind of cool. But there's a reason for that because we have a sister city in Japan. Is like the sister city of Winnipeg, some place in Pakistan, named after this guy as well, or something. If not, like if it's just a random park they named after this guy, then yeah, like what the fuck? Like, of all the people in the world to pick, like
as far as I can see, this is strictly a campaign of Pakistani Canadians in Winnipeg that have caused this park to be named the way that it is. And the entire thing seems to have been spearheaded by a university professor at University of Winnipeg, Rashid Ahmad, and he scoffs at many things, and he's quoted as having scoffed in the article. And I don't believe that people scoff in real life, but
no, that is fake news right there.
They go on to quote him in the article, and it says, "If being loved by each other is extreme, that's fine. I'm happy with that word as extremism." And I don't understand why we need to do this. This is like the guy's an anti-Semite. He wants he didn't want Jerusalem to be founded, or not Jerusalem. Pardon me. He didn't want Israel to be founded. He wanted to like keep the Jews out of Jerusalem.
Yeah, there's a pretty. I don't even know how to describe it.
Oh, you like that little quote I found?
Yeah, that was a little offside, to say the least.
So, October 12, 1945, there's a quote from Mr. Jinnah at Quetta? I don't know. I don't speak Pakistan.
Yeah,
so,
it's Quetta.
Every man and woman of the Muslim world must die before Jewry seizes Jerusalem. I hope the Jews will not succeed in their nefarious designs. And he goes on to like bemoan Britain and America and basically all non-Muslim nations. And it turns out that this guy's like the original Johnny Jihad. This guy wanted to start like an actual holy war to start like a Muslim-run state. And he kind of got there. He didn't quite seem to get it right. I'm not super up on near-term history in that part of the world. That's not something that I have much interest in, but I know a little bit about the founding of Pakistan. And this guy is like, yeah, we should totally go on a holy war and kill all the people that aren't Muslims because we're only about those. So I'm not really sure why we have like the original jihadist as being named for a park in Canada. It seems unnecessary.
Well, just a few, I don't. When was the park named that?
The park opened like a week ago.
Okay, so the park opened a week ago. So that's like 4 days after they took John A. McDonald's statue down.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the fun dichotomy here, right? Is like we just took down.
Andrew's not going to be happy.
Yeah.
We're still live.
On the statue of
There he is.
Holy
There
lag.
he is.
Is it
You just had like a 6-second lag.
okay? I need to get my pigeons checked. They're broken.
Well, you're coming in loud and clear now.
Yeah. But what day is it where you are?
I have the winning lottery numbers.
That's what I was going to ask. So we can finally build our range.
The bad news is they're last week's numbers.
Oh.
Ah. Damn
I
it.
know. So I think it's worthwhile to actually read the tweets because I heard a thing. I don't know if this is true because I've got another article in the show notes from CTV, and there's an anonymous source, and I hate anonymous sources. If you're a journalist and you're listening to this podcast, be a better journalist, please.
Yeah.
From one Canadian to another, just get better at your job. Anonymous sources irritate me to no end because you can just make that up.
Unshitty yourself.
Yeah.
Unshitty yourself, indeed. So there's an anonymous source in the CTV article in the show notes that says that nothing will happen to Bernier as a result of the tweets. I did see an article today that I have not had a chance to read or investigate further that says that he's actually been removed from caucus. I don't know if that's true or not.
He's been on everyone's shit list lately for,
Well, why even have
Speaking the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why even have a conservative party then? Like if you're going to ban, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
I mean, that's all
I
he's
want to read
done is spoken out about true things that should be the focus of people that are actually conservative, but even the conservative party is shit on this guy lately.
Well, no, I mean, Scheer took him off and put him on the backbench, took him off his shadow cabinet position. And now if the rumor that I read today is true, then he's going to be removed from caucus, or he has been removed from caucus. Follow up next week after I have a chance to read the news because it's Monday and it just dropped today. So I do want to read the 644 characters of tweets, though, because I fail to see the problem with this. Trudeau keeps pushing his diversity is our strength slogan. Yes, Canada is a huge and diverse country. This diversity is part of us and should be celebrated, but where do we draw the line? Ethnic, religious, linguistic, sexual, and other minorities were unjustly repressed in the past. We've done a lot to redress those injustices and give everyone equal rights. Canada is today one of the countries where people have the most freedoms to express their identity. But why should we promote ever more diversity? If anything and everything is Canadian, does being Canadian mean something? Shouldn't we emphasize our cultural traditions, what we have built and have in common, and what makes us different from other countries and other cultures and societies? Having people live among us who reject basic Western values such as freedom, equality, tolerance, and openness doesn't make us strong. People who refuse to integrate into our society and want to live apart in their ghetto don't make our society strong. Trudeau's extreme multiculturalism and cult of diversity will divide us into little tribes that have less in common apart from their dependence on government in Ottawa. These tribes become political clienteles to be bought with taxpayer dollars and special privileges. Cultural balkanization brings distrust, social conflict, and potentially violence, as we are seeing everywhere. It's time we reverse this trend before the situation gets worse. More diversity will not be our strength. It will destroy what has made us such a great country. I don't see a problem with the things he is saying, because there is nothing in there that he's like, kick all the Pakistanis out of Canada. He's saying stop dividing us into little communities because you're going to have to everyone's going to have special privileges and just go to Ottawa for their free money and their free stuff. Where's the lie?
Yeah.
It's not that it's a lie. It's just that it's counter to the lie that Canada has no national identity.
Who
Well, I
was
guess
it? Diefenbaker, he's got a great quote on that somewhere. I think it was. I don't know. Or was Borden. One or the other.
Canada is the first post-national state.
no, that's dumb.
Yeah, it is dumb. You can't. Hold
Yeah.
That's something
That's
that
what I'm
Trudeau the
saying. What are we
Junior
on-
said. And that's
What are we, a
that's
website?
dumb.
We may as well be.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Did
But,
you
yeah.
intern your thing?
I'm working on it right now. It's
Because I think so. While you're working on that, and we can talk briefly about this. I don't know that it means anything to be Canadian. I think at one point it meant something to be a Canadian, like when we had the world's third largest navy and the fourth largest air force. When we finished a war on another continent for the second time in 2 decades.
Back when we made Brens and Stens in Long Branch, Ontario.
Yeah, when
had a good old
when
day.
we had a manufacturing industry in our country and we had a powerful military.
You mean when we flew this flag?
Yeah,
For those that are listening and not watching, it's the red ensign.
under the red ensign up until what's that, 67?
Yeah.
When we got the new liberal flag. And I mean, don't get me wrong, there are things about the new liberal flag that I like. Like the maple leaf is a great symbol of Canada, but the maple leaf is not what it means to be Canadian. It's just a really fucking common trait. Like really fucking common.
Even
And it happens
the Japanese have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen to be unique to us.
It should be a bottle of syrup.
Well, I don't. I mean, that's not the worst
Yeah.
idea ever. I mean, that either means it's Maine or Canada.
Yeah.
But we don't have core values any longer. I don't think as a country we don't have like an ethnic identity. We don't have a cultural identity. We've already I counter signal Bernier in this. We've already balkanized. We have regional demographics that are already their own little things unto themselves. We have the East Coast that used to be a tradition of maritimes and fishing and what do you call it? Seamanship, the ability to use boats and things. Like that used to be a thing. We used to have industry. We used to have men that knew how to build boats and sail them and fish with them. We used to have people that raised cattle and crops. And we used to have an energy sector in Alberta.
Yeah, all those Pakistanis out there in the prairies.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, we have a rich French heritage in Quebec, right? But we don't have.
Which you think Trudeau would get?
Yeah.
I wish Trudeau would get that, but I don't think he does, and I think it's on purpose because I think he looks at people that have a strong ethnic French heritage in Quebec as inferior to the global citizens that he thinks he is.
Yeah. Yeah, I found a couple of quotes here by Borden. I guess none of them were quite what I was thinking. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else's quote, but I mean, he certainly, has a thing for patriotism and that Canada pulled together and all of this. So, here's one. In this great testing time, Canada has made it known to the Empire and to the world her true spirit. So that was back in 1914. So if Canada has a true spirit, would that not also be like its identity and a thing that we hold true across the country as a nation?
You would think, but I mean...
Or, it was Canada from Atlantic to the Pacific on parade. I thought then and I think today that in those few minutes I witnessed the birth of a nation.
Yes, and I think in the end of the First World War, I think that we came together as a nation and we stopped being
individual groups and became a collective unit.
I mean, we had Confederation prior to that and we were a country, but Confederation is not We didn't form a country to form a country. We formed a country to make it easier to administer as a colony of Great Britain. Right? Like that wasn't...
Yeah, exactly. And around the end of World War I and whatnot, I think is when we truly formed our Canadian identity and became Canadians and proud to be Canadians, which formed at our time that Canadian identity, which has been diluted over time.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's use that as a really good segue. I've got an article from the Toronto Sun. There's a couple places that got a video that went viral over the weekend. Diluting our identity, there was an incident that took place. Trudeau was in somewhere in Quebec that I can't pronounce. I think it's in his home riding. I think it's a city in his home riding. I have some video, but one of the constituents at what seems to be some kind of like a county fair or tractor pull event. I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it's fairly rural and it's definitely in French. An elderly individual was asking him to explain what was going on with the illegal immigrants crossing into Quebec and where the money was going to fund this, because basically she wants to know how she's getting her 146 million tax dollars back to fund the illegal immigrants. Well, I'll play the audio and then we'll tell you what they said for everybody who doesn't parlez-vous français.
So everyone?
Et madame, on a livré une augmentation du supplément de revenu garanti de 1 000 par mois, 1 000 par année pour les aînés seuls les plus vulnérables. On a investi des milliards de dollars pour l'allocation canadienne aux enfants, qui a fait une énorme différence dans la vie des familles à travers la province et le pays. Madame, une des choses importantes, madame, en politique, c'est l'écoute. Les amis, c'est l'écoute qui compte. On est en dialogue. Je suis.
Ben vous me répondez-moi.
C'est pas très gentil. On est ici pour échanger, pour dialoguer. J'ai bien hâte de vous écouter, si, à condition que vous m'écoutiez, madame. Vous avez quelque chose à dire, madame?
Je veux savoir quand vous allez nous remettre les 146 millions qu'on a payés pour vos immigrants illégaux.
OK. Madame.
C'est nous autres qui avons payé pour ça.
Intolérance par rapport aux immigrants, ça n'a pas sa place au Canada. Cette intolérance par rapport aux immigrants.
All right, that's enough of that. But for everybody who flunked out of basic parlez-vous français in high school, lady's asking a question. Trudeau's talking about giving thousands of dollars to retirees and children, helping the province out. And she keeps trying to interrupt. And he says basically like, you have to let me talk. That's how politics works. You ask a question, I give you an answer, kind of a thing. And she goes, you're not answering my question. She says, I want to know when are you going to refund the $146 million we paid for your illegal immigrants? And that's when Trudeau starts calling her a racist.
Yeah.
So immediately, this is immediately before the crowd screaming. Trudeau's response to that question, the sentence immediately after that, she asked that very clear question about the $146 million. This intolerance towards immigrants has no room in Canada. Racism has no place here. And thunderous applause. And then the video goes on, and there's no point in grabbing the audio out of this, but the video goes on. Plainclothes RCMP officers, or individuals who identify themselves as RCMP officers, physically assault the woman and try to remove her and accuse her of making threats. I don't really know how they got to that. Maybe my understanding of French is somewhat lacking, but it seems pretty clear to me because they put her in a wrist lock and then they put her in an arm bar, and then she shows the person doing the cell phone cameras about how she's now got bruised arms. Like, it seems pretty clear to me. And I mean, like, good for this old lady because she wasn't having anybody's shit that day. Like, she basically told the cop, like, I'm not going with you. Why am I being detained? And then she like walked away. I don't know what the outcome of that was, if she ended up being arrested after the fact or what the deal was, but like, she starts arguing with the cops, and it's pretty good. She stands her ground with these guys, and they are definitely out of line, in my opinion. There's no reason to be physically restraining people asking these sort of questions.
Can you imagine, though, if you had been there and when Trudeau said that and he said, racism has no place here, and all you had to do was cheer and clap loudly and you just ignore that he completely didn't answer the question, and you could just go along with his egalitarian signaling, and you could just feel so good. Imagine the dopamine rush, Andrew, if you had been there, if me, you, and Gavin had been there, and we could have clapped the loudest and just agreed with him. Oh my God, that would have been. I wish I had been there. That would really have been something to see the RCP go in and arm lock that old woman for asking a question, and have our prime minister completely turn her away and label her as a racist, even though she didn't mention race at all. She just mentioned irregular immigrants. That was
well,
wow. I wish I'd been there.
Now, I will say that I have seen an article pop up, and as we're better journalists than actual journalists and stuff because we cite sources, I will say that it was from that North 99 or whatever. So, we can know that it's
I'm going to get a
fake news.
It's a very reliable article. But, just so that we're showing all sides of a story and we're not accused of bias, at least that we don't admit to. They are saying that this lady was part of some, alt-right Quebecer group and this and that and everything else. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. But if it is or it isn't is kind of irrelevant because, she's at the thing. She asked a question as anyone can. And like I said, maybe she was inspired by other things. Maybe she wasn't. But in the question that she asked, in my opinion, she said nothing wrong and deserves an answer like we all do. Especially for, illegal immigrants. Not legal ones. Illegal ones.
You know who else has done nothing wrong lately? The Ontario legislature. City news. Ontario government caps off summer session by passing bill to cut Toronto council size. So the very last day that the Ontario legislature was in session, they passed Bill 5, and they're going to reduce city council from 47 to 25 seats.
Hey, and if it's good enough federally, it's good enough for me provincially and locally.
I'm on board with this 100%. Like it's projected to save like $25 million a year or something for the city's operating costs.
What, recutting Trudeau's swing sets?
Yeah, we're reducing the number of swing sets in Toronto.
Cool.
Yeah,
but it's just total clown world because the NDP and Horvath are freaking out that the government's driving the province backwards. The government's done more damage this month than they've ever done before. There's
because debt is progress.
Yeah, they took a part sex ed. They took apart cap and trade. They legislated out of contracts. They haven't built anything. And it's like that's according to the interim leader of the Liberal Party in Ontario. But
I don't see any call them like a party. They've lost official party status. Former Liberal Party.
Former Liberal Party. Liberals.
God, that felt good to say. Yeah,
just liberals. No, like I don't. It's a summer session. It's short, and yeah, they're not going to get much through, but you know what? It's really easy to undo a lot of bad mistakes that the previous government made.
Yeah, that and by damage, do they mean keeping the most promises in the shortest amount of time ever? Because that's what Ford's doing.
Yeah, he's keeping his promises.
Yeah,
we're gonna have a buck of beer by Labor Day.
Well, and is it this article? I think it's this article. Yeah. So there's a political science prof at Western, Christine de Clearcy, and she says that I don't really see much rhyme or reason in the approach of the government, and they paraphrase a bunch of stuff, but basically she doesn't understand why they've done things like chosen to focus on buck of beer. And it's like, well, I'm no political science prof at Western or any other university, but it seems to me when they're only in session for like 2 months and you have a limited amount of time to get stuff through, you should focus on the stuff that's easy to get through. Like, hey, let's lower taxes. An easy tax to get rid of is the minimum price of beer. Who's in favor of cheaper beer? Everybody? Cool.
Yeah.
And the Fraser Institute says, and most economists that are worth shit will say, if you reduce taxes, what happens to the economy, guys?
Gets better?
Gets stronger, yeah.
It almost always gets stronger. And that's the thing I don't understand is people are freaking out about Buck-A-Beer. And it's like, A, no one's making any of the companies participate in Buck-A-Beer. Currently, they're not allowed to because the government sets the mandatory minimum price. B, they're going to sell more beer because the price of the beer is going to be lower. So the net change in revenue is zero. The government will make just as much tax dollars off the reduction in the price.
Yeah, and the company selling it doesn't have to do anything because they're not getting taxed as much. So they make the same amount of money.
Yeah, and it's like it's the same thing with the sex ed
less.
Yeah,
so
like
it's going to create jobs, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the same thing with the sex ed curriculum. The sex ed curriculum is flawed. The current sex ed curriculum was written by a convicted pedophile in Ontario, at least in part.
Yes.
So rolling it back to the previous version until they can figure out how to fix it. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a terrible plan. Yeah, okay, so the previous version didn't cover consent, and they don't talk about LGBTQ2RMOUSE, but there's nothing to prevent teachers from talking about that stuff. And really, this isn't the business of the school to be doing in the first place. Okay, maybe the consent thing, but like really? Like sex ed should be part of like reproductive science class. That's kind of the extent of it.
Yeah. I mean, parents need to start taking a heck of a lot more responsibility for educating their kids and not relying on the government to do it because, I mean, the government has been doing a shit job at pretty much everything since day one. So why would you trust them to educate your children, especially to educate your children in the things that you believe in? And if you believe in whatever it is, like, I don't care if you're super, super liberal or super, super conservative, it's up to you to teach your kids the things that you want your kids to learn.
Well, I had friends of mine, like personal friends of mine, who like on Facebook were bitching about the sex ed. Oh, no. Now we're going back to the old sex ed and this and that. And I'm just like, well, just teach your damn kids. You do need a state to teach your kids about sex.
Yeah.
Teach your kids about sex. And it reminded me of that quote. I think I did it a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, but it was just like something like, if you were to take all children and put them in government-run schools at 6 months, then within a generation, everyone would believe that without the government, no one would be able to walk.
Certain people in government would already claim that and tax you for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to walk? You need a walking license.
Yeah. All right. Let's do another thing. That just makes me happy that the Ontario government's like undoing all the things. Yeah, we're not passing anything new yet, but all the old things, they're going. Let's do another one. I particularly enjoyed this. This is from the nectarine.ca. I really hope this isn't fake news. But
Nectarine they're doing well. Like a lot of people are talking about the Nectarine.
It seems to be up and coming because this is not the first thing that I have seen from them. It seems to be pretty reasonable sources. Like a lot of their stuff seems to be like the Canadian Press as like the wire service that they get the original information from. So far so good. We'll see if these guys turn into real news. Fredericton shooting widow says she called Trudeau a piece of shit during condolence call. The wife of one of the gentlemen that was killed, not the police officer, one of the civilians that was killed, Melissa Robichaud, said her family was hurt and disappointed when Prime Minister Trudeau paid tribute to the constables, but didn't visit or contact her family while in the city. So I have a really good quote from her. So I said, so what? They wear a vest, they carry a gun, and that makes them more important than one of us? I called him a piece of shit. And she goes on to say, honestly, I lost my husband and my kids have just lost their father. My son put it on Facebook how hurt he was that Trudeau was in town and couldn't even find a phone number to call us and give us his condolence, anything like that. And she goes on to say that if given the opportunity to meet him in person, she would say it again to his face.
Nice.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yes.
So, I mean, condolences to the Robichaux family. This is obviously a terrible loss for them, but good for her for holding the prime minister to account, because that was piece of shit behavior. I am all for him going and visiting the families of law enforcement officers who were killed in the line of duty.
Did he not go visit Colton Bushy's family?
He did go and visit the Bushy family.
Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, like I agree. He should go and visit the family of the law enforcement that lost their lives or were injured. But he should also visit the victims equally, because they are just as important as the police officers.
I agree. And it's not like there were hundreds of people that he had to go and see. He was there specifically to give condolences to the families of the victims. He managed to do it for 50% of them, and it was the ones that were collecting the government paycheck.
Yeah, the ones who were getting six figures to run.
I'm not well, and that 6 figures or not. I'm not belittling the police officer for this. Like it can be a difficult job,
and ultimately a very dangerous job. Yeah,
and I don't want to take anything away from that.
Okay,
but at the same time, it would have been no extra work for him to go and pretend to care about everyone else that was involved.
Yeah, it's not like it was another town. I mean, it's the same fucking place. But I mean, as we all know, he is an insensitive prick. So
yeah, I shouldn't get upset at the police officers. You're right. I should be upset at the government. It's the government who is creating the situation where it makes it difficult for people to defend themselves. But
agree.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
I don't have a good segue, but I feel like we got a good handle on that.
Yeah, fuck Trudeau.
Fucking piece of shit.
Insensitive prick.
Oh, I really want...
We need to get that guy and that girl together on the podcast and just do like a half hour of calling Trudeau names. Think we could pull that off?
We could petition the government to change the way that they greet him in the House. Like, could we get the speaker to read like the right honorable piece of shit Justin Trudeau?
Yes.
Like,
whoa!
Could we petition the government to change his title?
The right insensitive piece of shit prick.
That's good. I think we need a petition. Somebody get change.org up.
Yes. That's how we affect all political change.
I don't know. If those assholes send me one more email about how I should be like a vegan or whatever, like, I swear to God.
Yeah. I mean, there used to be like the 4 boxes of liberty, but now there's change.org. It's simplified everything.
Are we done with this? We got a guy who's trying to buy a car here in this next article. This is a real freaking heartbreak.
Oh, yeah. This is good. So the Red Star. The Canadian arm of Tesla is suing the Ontario government, claiming it's being treated unfairly by the cancellation of programs for rebates.
No, they were being treated unfairly. They were being granted anyway. Yeah, I hate to.
I would say yeah, you're right.
Right in the first second.
Yeah, right at the gate, just fucking smash it.
Smash.
So one of the many wonderful things that Doug Ford has done is restructured the green energy programs, including the hybrid car rebate program that Kathy had previously introduced. Let's address Tim's favorite guy.
Ralph Goodale.
No, the other favorite guy. Curtis Evans, who in this case is a Toronto teacher.
Oh, okay.
He's 38 years old. He's planning to sell his current vehicle and was counting on receiving the maximum $14,000 rebate to be able to afford the $71,000 price of the car.
Yeah. So he's already ordered in June. Yeah. He's already a member of a public sector union.
He's a public sector union.
He's a private sector worker. And now he's not getting government interference in the price of his vehicle.
I don't know about you guys, but
I might cry.
Don't you normally sell your current vehicle when you buy a new one? Do you
ask Gavin?
Is that...
Yeah, I just bought a new car. Nobody gave me a kickback to pay for my fancy sports car.
Well, and that's kind of my thing. Is like $71,000 for a car.
That's a lot of money.
It's kind of a pricey car. Like,
that's not a cheap car.
No, and I mean, like, I don't.
But it's cheaper when you get a $14,000 government rebate.
Oh yeah,
that we all pay for, so that Curtis Evans, 38, in Toronto, teacher,
can drive his
around
feel-good
his Tesla around.
His feel-good machine. Because he's doing his part by saving the environment, by powering it off of shitty, not green energy, probably.
My wife and I are still not sure if we're going to take delivery without the rebate, ... We are not millionaires, he said, adding he fears losing a $4,200 non-refundable deposit if he cancels the order. And it's like...
So just think
when
of how much
when you sign a non-refundable deposit, you should think about what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah. Well, and I want to come back to that when we talk about Tesla, because there's a reason why they're being impacted differently than other automobile resellers. But
because they were getting special treatment.
Well, we'll come back to that. But this particular guy,
did this guy go through public school?
He's buying a car that's worth as much as the median family income in Ontario.
Yeah. Did this guy?
The family income in Ontario is $70,000 annually. This guy's buying a car that's worth that much.
Did he go through public school? Maybe he should sue the public education system.
I should hope so. Yeah. I should hope so. What else do you get for $71,000? You could get 2 Dodge Challengers.
Nice. Those things run on whale oil, don't they?
Yeah, that's why they're so awesome.
Yeah,
freaking love mine.
When you do a burnout, you smell the ocean.
Oh, dude, when I put it in asshole mode, it sounds fucking brilliant.
Like, I don't think that so my wife and I drive new-ish vehicles, right? Like, I drive an F-150 and she drives a mid-sized sedan.
1%.
I think between the two of us,
1%.
Yeah, well, that's our thing. Is like we make more than the median family income, but like both of our cars aren't worth $70,000. Never mind one of our cars.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you don't buy cars that have government interference in the market.
Well, but that's what I mean. So, like in terms of like Ontario income, my family is in the top 10% of earners in Ontario, but we don't drive $70,000 cars because the government takes half of our fucking money. So, I mean,
to give the Tesla.
If I could get $14,000 off my next truck, I mean, I'd be all for that. So I don't fault this guy for doing it, but like, you have to imagine that like the gravy train's going to come to an end. So maybe he should have got on the ball and ordered his car sooner, because if you had your car before whenever they change this legislation this month, you still got your rebate.
It's not like you didn't know Ford was doing this.
Yeah. Why'd you have to be a late joiner, Curtis Evans? Why
did you really care about the environment? You would have done.
You would have had a Tesla last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have had.
You laid off the soy lattes.
If he really cared,
Curtis.
Yeah. If Curtis Evans really laid off the soy lattes and really cared about the environment, he would have bought a Tesla before Kathy introduced the rebate. Oh no, wait, he couldn't afford one. He's not a millionaire. Why is he buying a car that's worth $70,000 if he's not a millionaire?
Yeah, I mean,
what retard do we have teaching children?
If I got $14,000 back, I would have gone from the RT to the fucking Hellcat for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would cover the difference in the trim.
Yeah, maybe even the Demon. Maybe.
I just want to point out, NDP economic development critic MPP Catherine Fife said in an email that Ford's reckless decision in quotation, to cancel Ontario's cap and trade program and thus remove the funding for the electric vehicle rebates has had a negative impact on the province. Now, I just want to point out.
Oh no, it gets worse. It gets worse. Read the next line.
Catherine Fife. That's a small woodwind.
Yeah.
Next story.
you know,
it's a small woodwind.
Yeah.
But you know what's sad though? The fife used to be an instrument of war.
Yes, you'd march to that shit with a pike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's complaining that it's not getting a government kickback for buying an electric car.
Yeah, do you want me to read the next line, or do you want to
read the complaint, Tim?
It quotes, Doug Ford's Ontario is closed for business and families are going to pay the price she charged.
I don't think that's how that works.
Okay, so
do you learn economics, bro?
Yeah, all our listeners to raise a glass of cheap beer with me and just enjoy that we aren't buying Curtis Soy Latte Evans 38.
Yeah,
Speaker of Ontario in Toronto. We're not buying him a Tesla.
Although, you know what?
Congratulations. Thanks for your vote. Big blue wave.
if he stops drinking the soy lattes and starts drinking bucket beer, with the money he's saving, he'll be able to afford his Tesla in no time.
Yeah.
There's a new wind blowing in government, and I don't like it.
I don't know what kind of weird upside down world we're living in, but like, why is...
no, we're living in the real world now. It's everyone else that's realizing how upside down it was.
How is... Ontario was closed for business when businesses couldn't afford hydro and labor in this province, and they all fucking left. Families have already paid the price. I'm sorry that some soy boy in Toronto can't afford a Tesla now because he's not getting my fucking tax dollars to pay for his stupid car. That's not better for the environment than my truck, because my truck doesn't come out of lithium mines in China that are literally destroying the world. Because go look at how they mine lithium and tell me that's worse, not worse than how they mine oil.
Don't they frack it with like kitten oil, like oil from pressed kittens?
No, but like seriously, go look at how they mine lithium in China. It's
mines are
fucking
dirty.
gross.
But then they also use a whole lot of like petroleum powered equipment to mine the lithium.
To get it and to manufacture it and to bring it to sale in North America. And
like, if it's such a good technology, you think they would use that technology to mine it? Just saying.
It's clown world. It's like they use more coal energy to create a windmill.
To build a windmill than the windmill will ever harvest during its service life. Yeah.
And then use eminent domain to build it. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little right away. It's not going to impact your land values or your farm or anything.
Yeah, it's somebody else's.
Just this little tiny right of way. We just add 15 of them. Wait, it was one windmill. Now it's 15 windmills. What do you mean now it's 100 windmills? What do you mean you're taking my farm?
We just shifted a decimal point. It's okay.
I miss the birds.
Yeah.
I miss the birds too. I also miss the rains down in Africa.
Oof, Toto.
I'm sure there's a lot of people to do.
Let's talk about the Tesla thing. So
let's talk about Toto.
The whole the Tesla suit though is interesting because Tesla, for the uninformed, if you're out there in podcast land and you haven't been into a Tesla dealership, go and put on your spiffiest blazer. Go try and test drive one of their cars. Every sales guy that works at Tesla is an asshole in my experience. Every single one of them. And I've been in multiple dealerships because I kind of think the cars were an interesting idea. And now I've looked into their business model and I kind of disagree. So
they are a pretty awesome car, like performance wise, and I'll be honest, for the electric car, they're the first one that looks kind of cool. Like it's something that people would drive instead of being like some weird looking like moon vehicle where you're like you'd stand out as a pretentious asshole, because no one in their right mind would drive like those old school electric cars that just look so futuristic but stupid.
Yeah,
like you should be getting out of it like in a silver leather outfit.
Here's Charlie Jetson.
Yeah, like you're just a pretentious prick. Yep. Like no one would drive that. Like
what pisses me off is I can't buy a tube frame and stick an 11 horse lawnmower engine on it and drive a buggy to work. That thing would get good mileage.
Yeah.
That would get good. I would be okay with that. I have an easy commute. I would totally do that. But
I'll sell you an engine to do that.
Before we pivot, I want to address the many people on YouTube, and I want to thank everyone for listening and everyone that's interacting, because I think based on our listener count, it seems like everybody that's watching the show is in the live chat commenting right now.
We have a live chat?
The internet, it's still a thing.
Skeptic says, buy a Corolla. Corollas are for dentists. Well, where's that a Camry?
I don't know. On the topic of Skeptic, he says he's an East Indian living in New Brunswick and we're doing a great job. And I appreciate that. But he also says start bringing in guests. And I don't know if that's in regards to Tesla or us, but if it's us and you want to be on the show or you know somebody that you think should be on the show, fill out the form. CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/panelists, or go to the homepage and click the panelist link right up there at the top, or shoot me an email. Find us on social media. We're really easy to get a hold of, and
Yeah,
I mean,
we're
we've
a bunch of watch
let,
lists,
like-
so
We've let a lot of avowed liberals on this show. I mean, Tim's here all the time.
Yeah.
yeah,
Christian doesn't seem to have come back.
yeah. We scare the odd one off from
So
time to time.
skeptic in New Brunswick. Are you a dentist? Do you drive a
Yeah.
Corolla?
Do you do the thing with the teeth?
Yeah. And if so, will you give me a discount?
Cash.
Yes.
I'll give you a T-shirt.
Yeah.
I'll barter you a T-shirt. All right, let's wrap this up. We're going to talk about the last topic, which is really firearms, because we talk a lot about guns, because guns are cool and we like them.
Yeah. Motherfucker. I like guns.
I also like guns.
Guns are likable.
They are.
Oh, before we talk about guns, Skeptic says he drives a Tacoma, and I can assure you that it is a solid truck, and the rollover rating on it,
That.
5 stars, would roll again.
That is a solid vehicle. That's an excellent choice.
That the mirrors don't even break off when you roll it. It's that good.
I miss my little Tacoma, man. Like I had a little not the quad cab, the little the access cab.
Yeah, it's just a
I
great
miss my
little car. You
5-speed Tacoma.
go grab sushi in it.
Yeah.
Roll
Well,
it over.
Well,
Roll
I'll
it
grab sushi, I guess. Yeah.
Do the Jeb Bush of rollovers.
Although to be fair, I am glad we had the F-150 on our way to New Brunswick, because if we had hit that moose or the deer, I would have wanted to be in the bigger truck, not the littler truck.
The Tacoma had a nice
The
bumper.
The someday the Ford might get a nice bumper. We'll see. I feel like I need a bigger truck now. I went from the Tacoma to the full size F-150. I feel like I might need to go to like the 250 or the 350. It's just not big enough. I can still find parking spaces.
Deuce and a half, bro. Deuce and a half.
There we go. Deuce and a half. We'll just get the 2.5.
Yeah,
that works. Anyway, let's talk about guns. Couple of things. Firearms do not belong in Canada's cities. An article from Lauren Gunter. Let's explore the uselessness of handgun bans. And then I've also got an article in the show notes from the National Post. Liberals are playing dishonest games with stats to crack down on legal gun owners.
That sounds about right.
What this all amounts to is I think that the government is going to try and enforce a wedge issue for the next election because of the failures that they've had with the pipeline projects, the failures they've had delivering on Trudeau's promises, the fact that Trudeau is now announcing that he's going to run for prime minister again in the next election, which is entirely expected. He's the current sitting head of state and he's entitled for a second term. So I'm not surprised that he's running for re-election.
So much more stammering to do.
Yeah, he's not even anywhere near done.
Did you hear he stammers in both official languages?
Yeah.
You guys heard that in French, right? Like,
yeah,
he doesn't even speak French very well.
It's part of his core identity.
I don't think we have that.
So the argument is being made in Toronto's already passed a resolution from the city council, whatever it is. They're going to try and ban the sale of handguns and ammunition in Toronto.
That was the large city council, not the small city council.
Yeah,
that's right. The newer, stronger, thinner city council might change their mind. Montreal has now also made some kind of a motion, possibly passed some sort of a resolution at council. We need to do more research because that just came out this afternoon, late this evening, I think.
Yeah.
Montreal now wants to ban handguns in the city of Montreal.
You know who doesn't need handguns in the city of Montreal? The cops.
Yeah, have you seen the Montreal City Police shoot?
Yeah.
So many
who hasn't? Yeah, who hasn't seen them shoot?
Yeah, I do a Cole's Notes version. Something like 4% of the Montreal police force even bothers to try to qualify or something like that, and they've had numerous instances where like they'll draw and shoot at people and bounce rounds off the sidewalk and kill pedestrians.
Yeah.
So this is
So I fully support a ban of handguns for Montreal cops.
Don't sing in your car or leave it unlocked.
Yeah.
Montreal.
Yeah, the fun police will get you.
Sounds like
and probably everyone around you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is like more nonsense. So the charge is basically that people in cities don't need guns because we don't use guns to defend ourselves in Canada. Well, that's That's bullshit and a misunderstanding of English common law from which our system of law is derived. I'm entirely entitled to defending myself, my family, and my property with the use of arms.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, you should really go and read some history books.
Yep.
But more importantly, the people that legally own firearms that are using them for these sporting purposes that the author in the Globe and Mail mentions, people that are going hunting with them, shouldn't be required to get them from the outfitter that they're going to hunt with. Most people don't go to outfitters. They go hunting the same places that their families hunted for generations, with the same friends that they've hunted with for years.
Yeah,
which now includes the ability to use drones in traditional hunting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to have done it for a lot of generations if you're going to use a drone.
Yeah.
Part of our core identity.
Yeah, drone hunting. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's not drone hunting. It's hunting with drones. Drone hunting is a different thing.
Same thing. Whatever.
Close enough. Yeah, so taking away guns from hunters and sports shooters that live in cities, not going to do anything because they're not.
Well, yeah,
this is getting into the dishonest stats thing that they're pulling. Like, why is... Hey, Tim, who's your favorite guy in government?
Oh, jeez. It's Ralph Goodale.
It's always Ralph Goodale.
Yeah.
Ralph Goodale conveniently had the public safety minister conveniently released a report with statements saying that gun homicides are up 2/3 since 2013.
Okay.
2013 is also the safest year in Canadian history since the 60s.
Yeah,
it has the lowest rate of violent crime, the lowest rate of homicide. For some reason, there was no crime in Canada in 2013. It was significantly lower than all of the other years.
That was
what
Harper.
you call that in statistics?
That was Harper.
It's an anomaly.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't use it because it's an outlier. It doesn't fit the trend.
But an anomaly is it's that thing on your skin, and if it changes color, you have to go and get it checked.
See a doctor if it lasts more than 4 hours.
What was the price of beer back then? I'm just curious.
Oh, was it still Buckabeer? No, it couldn't have been still. No. Buckabeer ended. No.
In 2013?
Just curious.
I don't know when Buckabeer ended, but I don't think it was 2013.
It lived on in my heart.
I feel like it was more than 10 years ago that it was Buckabeer, but I don't know.
I'm just curious. Maybe there's some sort of,
Now, in 2013, I bet you the dollar was doing much better compared to the American dollar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. In 2013, for some reason,
get an American beer for $1.
Ooh, that'd be all right.
But Americans can buy our beer for $1.
Yeah. Well, they can now. Probably less than $1.
It's just wrong.
Yeah.
So most of this is nonsense. Trying to take away the guns of law-abiding Canadians isn't going to do anything to address any of the gang-related violence in large urban centers, because the people in Toronto that are shooting one another with handguns aren't owning them legally. So all that this comes down to, in my mind, is that this is proof from the public safety minister that the handgun registry that's been in effect in Canada since 1936 is ineffective. The handgun registry does not stop criminals from using handguns.
No. I mean, the government can't keep drugs out of prisons. A facility that they have complete control over, where people are on lockdown, the vast majority of the time, and are under constant surveillance. They can't keep drugs, which are banned, out of that facility. How do they expect to keep guns out of the hands of criminals?
Sorry, small tangent, and then I will answer what I'm sure is a rhetorical question. Skeptic says American beer is goat piss, and well, I generally agree with your large brands. I would strongly encourage you to visit the great state of Texas and enjoy yourself a Shiner Bock.
Agreed.
Also, there are many great other regional beers, West Coast IPAs, if you're into that sort of thing. I know I am. It's the only thing I like from the West Coast.
Coors Banquet.
Anyway,
Coors Banquet.
It's a solid beer.
Yeah.
It is my favorite lager.
Yeah.
Anyway, going back to the gun thing, even if we ban all the major municipalities ban guns or handguns or the ownership of rifles in their city, I don't see how that's going to stop anything, because if a gangbanger wants to get a gun, they're just going to go to the next place with guns, which is how they're getting more than half the guns they have now, is they're just smuggling them in from the United States.
Yeah, we have
it's
the
gonna
world's
be-
largest undefended border. Plus, like, look at how much shoreline we have on like the coast of Canada is massive and it's unpatrolled. We need to build a wall around the entirety of the country. Maybe that'll help.
No, we just need to build a wall around Toronto and maybe start enforcing that wall that Montreal has. They've already got one. We just need to put somebody on the outside of it, and I don't know. Somebody learn how to stay inside in French.
A couple of
dozen other
shots
languages.
across the bow, yeah. No, it's so ridiculous, and especially if it's like they can't even ban. I mean, obviously, we know that if they outright ban, it's not going to work. But like, even if they only ban the sale of guns in Toronto, it's like, okay, so you're going to put like 2, maybe 3 stores out of business. But
Congratulations, you're ruining tax income.
Yeah, but like,
I hope you
that
can
doesn't
cut your
stop
police
anybody.
budget now.
And it's like, but if they ban the sale of them, it's like, okay, but what about the internet? Like, you could buy a gun on the internet and they can just
don't
ship
say
it
that.
to your home.
Don't say that.
And like I've totally got a business
purchase
model.
a registered firearm on the internet.
And I came up with this business idea, and I'm copywriting this. It's called, like there's dial a bottle, it's dial a bullet. You can call me, and I will come and deliver. Like, I will go buy the gun, and then sell it to you in the city. It's a delivery service.
It's
Legally.
it's not bad.
Yeah.
Legally,
Yeah,
all
but
within,
due process.
we're not saying
Yeah.
he's going to do it illegally.
No. Like, I'll buy it, and then if it's a registered one, I'll register it in my name and purchase it, and then sell it to you and transfer the registration. I'll even keep a logbook for ammo, and it won't be selling a gun in the city. It'll just be selling it in the city that I live in, and then delivering it to you, which is totally legal.
I see no problems with this, but you should definitely talk to our insurance guy and a lawyer.
I'm pretty sure our insurance guy is for it because he seems to be
Our
for all kinds of crazy things.
Don't encourage our insurance guy.
Um,
We like you, but seriously, that was a bad idea.
Yeah, but I guess that's what happens when you get Facebook bans and stuff. But no, like the banning them is so stupid, and Montreal is stupid for even thinking about it. Like, you're not going to get the guns out of the hands of criminals. It's only law-abiding people, and you're just going to further make them victims.
Yeah, you only need to look at Chicago, which has like for a long time, they did slacken their gun control a little bit recently, but for a long time, like, you could not. It was illegal to have a gun or in.
You couldn't own a handgun in Chicago prior to 2008. The U.S. Supreme Court overturned that ruling. And do you care to guess what happened to violent crime or gun crime rates in the city of Chicago after 2008?
It went down.
Very, very briefly, and then it continued to climb at the same rate that it was climbing at during the ban, both for all violent crime as well as crimes involving handguns.
Yeah. And then people say, oh, well, that's because, they can just go next door and where it's not illegal to buy a gun and buy a gun. And then the of course, question that is then, brought to the surface is you then go, well, how come then the violent crime isn't worse where they're buying the gun from?
I contend that it's the density of the population that's the problem. The shittiest thing about Toronto is all the people that live in Toronto.
Yeah.
I contend the same thing. I've worked in Chicago, and Chicago is a nice place, but I sure as fuck wouldn't want to live there because all the people are terrible. And I think it's like a proximity density problem. Like, you get that many, like, per capita, there's just like a certain number of people that per capita, like 10 out of every 100 people are assholes, right? So you just you pack that many people together, you just happen to have a lot of assholes all in the same area.
Like Ottawa.
Like Ottawa. Well, Ottawa.
Well, they're there for a different reason.
Different kinds of assholes. Yeah.
Yeah,
we
for
vote
different
to go to
reasons.
Ottawa.
Yeah.
They got bigger yards in Ottawa.
Well, a third of the population votes them to go to Ottawa.
Well, and this is this is part of the other problem with this is we have these votes and they do meaningless things, and this is all vote pandering by politicians in Toronto and people that are trying to get involved or are involved in the Liberal Party because they want to look like they're doing something prior to this next election, because it's all feel good sunny ways bullshit that doesn't actually do anything. It's It's no different than that 10-second soundbite where Justin Trudeau's happy to meet with the Essex commissioner. Well, he'd be happy to meet with the Essex commissioner. Just meet with the fucking commissioner. Like,
don't mention
stop
it.
telling me you're going to do it and just do it, because this is all more shiny, happy bullshit. That it makes a really good soundbite that they're doing something. They're getting tough on crime. They're the real conservatives that are tough on crime, not the conservatives. They're, I don't know, whatever nonsense of the day is, like shuffle deck, pull out thing, right?
Yeah, only they're not getting tough on crime, especially if C-75 goes through.
Skeptic Das says ban knives in Toronto. And, and if you want to see what Toronto is, you're gonna have to look
and cars and alcohol
look to England, where they're now talking about banning cars in certain regions because really you don't need a car there, and people
you got to be 18 to buy. You got to be 18 to buy a fucking egg whisk.
And England's now dangerous. The knives are already banned in England. They got the knife pins. They got
but hardly anybody gets shot in England. Like very few people get shot in England.
No, they get driven over and they get acid attacked and they get
but hardly any of them get shot.
Yeah, so it's probably
no. It's because like 2/3 of those were suicides, and those are no longer happening. So that third that were getting shot because criminals are still getting shot.
Yeah, and the suicide rate hasn't actually gone down because it's just suicide by firearm.
Yeah,
but
stop
change of means.
Guns.
I wish I could go back in time and invest in the acid making companies in England 15 years ago.
I wish I could go back in time and warn everyone what Canada was going to become so that we didn't make this mistake. Wow, that was really dark. Let's move on to some feedback. I don't know if I meant to do that out loud. I've had a significant amount of whiskey and not the best day ever.
That's
Canadian from Jan.
That's one of our core identities. It's whiskey.
Yeah, well, rye whiskey only.
Yeah, rye whiskey, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's only because I went to the government-approved liquor store today to try and buy some Highland Park, and they didn't have any.
I've got a bottle.
Yeah, but they were like, you have to go to another municipality several dozen kilometers away, and I was like, nah, I have booze at home. I just wanted something different. Anyway, email from JN. Great show as usual. Noticed you had some difficulties with the name. Here's a small primer. The pronunciation of Anishinabeg is Anishinabeg. Some people will modify the last syllable to be a Beck sound, citing colonial misrepresentation, blah, blah, blah. The chief you mentioned represents mostly, and I appreciate the handy-dandy pronunciation guide, Ojibwe, speaking indigenous peoples, specifically situated around northern coastal Lake Huron and Superior, including Manitoulin Island. We would never...
Did you just use the term chief? Because that's what I use to describe the person in charge of my Scottish clan. So using that for something else is cultural appropriation.
Listen there, big shoots. We would never bulldoze the Holocaust camps in Poland and Germany because of the important lessons they can teach us about both humanity's depravity and will to survive and thrive. That Orwell quote was bang on. Lastly, euro, the food, is pronounced euro, like the currency. Source, Greek restaurant owner, boss my wife worked for in high school. Great show, fellas. JN. I want to thank JN for his feedback. We like the email. I mean, I like the hate mail. I'm glad I finally got one. I hadn't got some hate mail in a while, and that was not really the scathing kind of hate mail I was hoping for last week, but it was still, 2 stars. You'd hurt my feelings if I had any, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, that's better than 0 stars or no review at all.
Yeah,
I totally had a gyro for dinner tonight. It was delicious.
Yeah, I had a gyro.
I had a
wait, a gyro
for lunch. Is a shawarma like a gyro?
No,
sort of. It is sort of. It's
I don't know. It's meat on a spit, and it was in a pita.
Yeah, it's sort of the same thing, but Middle Eastern.
I mean, all this ethnic food's kind of the same to me. Just give me some meat and potatoes, and I'm a happy man.
It's a meat on a stick. It's delicious.
Our favorite general has a great YouTube comment, and I'm going to wrap this up from Augusto Pinochet on the YouTubes. And Thanks for being on the live chat. I appreciate that. Also, I guess at some point we made Augusto Pinochet the moderator, so feel free to physically remove people because I didn't realize we had a moderator.
wow.
But if they get rowdy, they're mi general. Physically remove them.
Look to the skies, fellas. Look to the skies.
Pinochet has a blue wrench. That's awesome.
Yes, I've done lots of work in Toronto. I second that the problem is with Toronto is the people in Toronto. Stay strong, hail Odin. Well, I mean, I think I got a tattoo that says that, but right on. Thanks.
The thing I don't understand about Toronto is why would all those people be so upset when they have so many types of food to eat?
Yeah,
And
all the gyros they want. Yeah,
all the gyros they want to eat.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's the lack of Anishinabeg delicacies.
I just see the thing is, I went to college with an Ojibwa, and he said it was pronounced Ojibwa.
I don't know. This says whey like protein or what you get from milk when you're making cheese.
Maybe he learned it in a white school how to say his people's name.
Maybe
that's dark.
Maybe he had too much fire water and just couldn't speak properly.
Not as dark as my Guinness.
All right, you can find me at RagnarokTactical.ca. Come buy some bandages. I just got a big giant box of tourniquets, and you'll notice behind me there's a big box of that's not a box, a big shelf of tacos. I got a huge order from HSGI in the other day. I finally got it all inventoried, and the website's all updated. So if you need some first aid supplies, I got a bunch of tourniquets came back in stock. Got a bunch of HSGI stuff. If you're waiting on an order, I probably have it for you. Unless it's a belt, because they shipped the wrong size belt, and I'll have a new one for you later this week.
Seriously, though, tacos are awesome. Buy all the tacos. Especially
tacos.
tomorrow. Tomorrow is Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, today it's Taco Monday.
Yeah. Also a good holiday.
Yes.
Or is it Gyro Monday?
Gyro Monday, yes.
It's none of those things. Gavin, where can everyone find you on the internet?
The best place to find me on the internet is on the Instagrams at urbex_GTA.
And Tim, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at timsgoodtshirts.ca or facebook.com/timsgoodtshirts.
As always, you can find the show on our website, CanadianPatriotPodcast.com, or on Facebook and Instagram at whatever the social media is, .com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
Before you
on Patreon.
Before you go, I just want to tell everyone who's listening or listen to tune in next week. And it's about time I did another Tim's Good T-shirt contest.
Ooh,
nice! I'll be excited. I need some new T-shirts.
You know, I sell them.
Yes.
Andrew's still waiting for his $14,000 to pay off for his truck so that he can get some T-shirts.
It's a green energy
T-shirt.
T-shirt.
Has a battery. I'm pretty sure I'm entitled to a rebate.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah, that's got to be at least $14, maybe almost $15. Maybe
Almost
like
$15,
12 cents short of $15, probably.
I hope so. If you want to get in touch with the show, you should send your hate mail to feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Be sure to let me know how we've offended you. Also, if you happen to find my actual birth certificate or passport, if you want to explain to me how I am America, that's okay too. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true north, strong and free.